There is a stigma around using mobility aids, no matter what age you are. But when you're a bit younger, there is definitely a stigma. Even when people can see. A few years ago, I was looking specifically for a white cowboy boot. Look at that! It's sleeveless. It had the V at the back.
Welcome to Off the Hanger, the fashion podcast where we dive deep into our guests' wardrobes, finding out their favourite fashion pieces and the stories behind them. This week, before we get started, I wanted to let you know that I'm introducing something new. So we're going to be getting the guests to answer your fashion dilemmas. At the end of each episode, we will share one of your fashion dilemmas and me and the guest will talk it out and try and give you the best possible fashion advice that we can. So if you would like to send me your fashion dilemmas, do email it to offthehangerpodcast@gmail.com. Or alternatively, you can always slide into my DMs on Instagram and TikTok. But right, on to this week's episode. I am delighted to have chatted with Lyndsay Mitcheson. She is the founder of NeoWalk, which is an incredible brand that make walking sticks that are really cool looking. I'm talking super sleek, really stylish. They look fabulous. And so we chat all about dealing with fashion when you've got a disability, but also her love of fashion, her love of being bright and bold and visible and just wearing the most fabulous things. She's got the best energy and I really do hope you enjoy this chat as much as I did. Lyndsay, good morning. Thank you so much for being a guest on Off the Hanger. Really looking forward to chatting with you this morning.
Thank you for having me. It's really exciting to get to talk about fashion because it's something that I love, and to actually tell you about what it's like in my world, because it might be a little bit different to other people's worlds.
And I think that's the main reason I was so fascinated to talk to you and so keen to chat to you, because I think you can bring a real insight and also education to people who, like you say, who aren't in your world, and bring that level of understanding. So tell us a bit about your story.
So I'll keep it brief. I contracted an MRSA infection in 2007, which resulted in the amputation of my left leg in 2010. So 15 years ago, I lost my left leg, which traumatic, life-changing, image-changing, the whole works. It changed everything. It also changed things for the good, because I then became able to walk again. I used to use a prosthetic. So don't just take negative stuff from that. It was massively for the good for me. I began making acrylic walking sticks in 2013 because I needed a walking stick. I needed something nice because I was only reasonably young, couldn't see anything that I really liked, and thought, to hell with it, I'll actually make my own. And found that people asked me about the walking stick that I made because it was quite flashy. It was a bit like that. So clear, quite eye-catching, but very functional. People would ask me and say, "Where did you get your stick?" And I thought, I could give this. The confidence it gave me was unreal. Just to have people stop and say something nice about a mobility aid is incredible. And I thought, I can give this to other people as well. And that's where the whole light bulb moment for me happened. And I started the business. So that's me in a nutshell, and I've loved it ever since.
And I think it is a really traumatic thing to have happened to you, like you say, but actually so much good has come of it, because you are now bringing this whole new design and style and functionality of these walking sticks to so many other people.
Yeah.
And I think in that situation, you can often feel like, oh, people are staring at me and I'm uncomfortable and I don't like it. But actually now they're staring at me because my mobility aid looks absolutely incredible with my outfit, because it matches and it's perfect and it's different and it's unique. And like you say, it's bringing that level of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, my confidence just went through the roof when this started happening to me, because you do feel that there is a stigma around using mobility aids, no matter what age you are. But when you're a bit younger, that there is definitely a stigma, even when people can see why you're using it. So I used to have a very visible prosthetic leg. And some people would still even ask me why I was using a walking stick, which is kind of great because it means they didn't notice it in a way, But for people with invisible illnesses, they get a lot of abuse even in the streets. So the stigma is real, and we are just trying to remove that and to add the confidence so people do feel happy going out in matching outfits. There is a point. I used to hear, "What's the point?" Oh, and it used to drive me nuts because there is a real point, and people who feel more confident are happier, they're more productive, they project happiness onto their family around them. It's the benefits are just never ending.
And I think it is really looking at it from that angle of your disability doesn't define you. You're
Mm,
still a person, and you still want to dress nicely. You still want to feel confident. You still want to be able to maybe get involved with the trends like other people do, or, shop for certain things. And I can imagine that actually that can be quite difficult at times because, as you say previously, you're a wheelchair user, and the way that clothes are cut and made tends to be for people who are standing and walking and moving around in that way. So you have a really difficult, I imagine, challenging
yeah.
way of having to shop.
Yeah, and you find out quite quickly what works and what doesn't. So, for example, the way that normal trousers, I say normal standard trousers, are cut, they don't sit very well in a wheelchair because you end up with a dipped bit at the back. And nobody wants that. A plumber doesn't even want that, but we see it on a plumber. You don't want that. So you end up living in a lot of elasticated waist leggings that are just, they're there, they don't move when you get them on. Then you end up trying to hide, because I don't know if you notice when you sit down, your tummy always pops out.
Oh,
It
it
just does.
for everyone.
Everybody. So when you're sat down in a wheelchair, your tummy is just permanently popped. And you just think, oh, I really quite like to hide that a little bit. So then you try and find things that skim over tummies, and so it is a real challenge to try and find, and then you find your own way of dealing with it. So I did end up wearing lots of leggings and lots of tunics, and then I discovered actually it doesn't really matter what I wear on the bottom, people are only really looking at the top. So that's when you get accessories coming in. That's when I'll show you some of these. That's when I collect glasses, because people want to connect with the bit at the top. So I find I've got about 50 pairs of glasses, and people, it gives them something to focus on, and it says a little bit about you. Because you're I love the shirt you're wearing today. I've got one in white that's similar. We're very lucky that I didn't wear it. Um, but it says a bit about you, doesn't it? So when people look at you, they want to learn a little bit about you. So if I've got those on, for example, they go, "Oh, Lyndsay doesn't mind being looked at, does she?" And things like that. It just gives people a clue as to your kind of personality through your clothing. Because if that isn't what we use fashion for, then what is it? It's to express ourselves, isn't it?
It is. It's to say something about ourselves without speaking a word.
Exactly.
And do you find that the high street is getting better? I know obviously Primark had a big thing recently where they'd done an adaptive range. And
Mm.
do you find that brands are becoming more inclusive with
Mm.
their styles for people who are disabled? Or do you think
Mm.
they are just still ignoring you?
Um, I would. They're still 80% ignoring us.
Yeah.
The 20% are the companies like Primark that put out their adaptive line. There are some adaptive lines of underwear, because with underwear as well, it can be quite difficult when you have fingers and hands that don't work particularly well and you're seated. So they can, bras and pants can be a real challenge. So there are different lines of underwear out there now that have magnetic closing, which is absolutely amazing. And a lot of the clothes in the Primark collection, they had magnetic closing as well. So you don't have to fiddle around with buttons, because they can get very, very, very difficult. But I would say 80% is still ignoring us. It's difficult because I think I can say it's a better experience for me because I think I've just grown accustomed to what I need to look for. So like I'm wearing a jumpsuit here today. There's no gapping in the back. It doesn't split anywhere like a skirt and a top might, or trousers and a top. Jumpsuits are great. I think I've just grown accustomed to looking for what really suits my needs, and I think that's probably the same with a lot of disabled people. But that's the same with anybody. You get to know what fits your body shape. You get to know where to go if you want to buy jeans. You know where to go where shoes fit you. I was out with my mum yesterday. If I find trousers, I'm going to buy two pairs. She said, it's a bit like that, isn't it? I want them if they fit me. So I don't think it's any different a challenge than it would be for you, for example.
I do think it does feel like it is the last area in which the high street and brands are really lacking. I think, they've made huge leaps and bounds in terms of inclusivity for
Mm,
sizing.
mm.
I do think that is the next step for more brands to start considering, more adaptive lines. But
And
did you always love fashion?
always, always, yeah. Even as a child, I remember being heavily involved in what I was wearing, because do you remember when mum used to put your clothes out for the day? And I used to look and think, I don't know about that. I could make that better. But I used to love clothes, and I was very involved with what was bought for me. And do you remember getting money in a birthday card?
Yes.
Always used to go straight out to the shops and buy. It was clothes, always. Yeah, I love fashion. Always have.
Was there a particular piece from childhood that you can remember?
Do you know? And it reminded me when I put this on today, because I remember jumpsuits the first time round. I'm a little bit older, so I remember having this green, absolutely beautiful jade green. Similar design to this, just baggy sleeves. I was at a primary school at the time when you didn't have to wear a uniform, so we used to wear, whatever we wanted to go to school during the day. My this jade jumpsuit that I used to wear for school was utterly amazing, and it felt very nostalgic putting this on today because it took me back to jumpsuit time first time round, and how they've come round again. But I absolutely loved this green jumpsuit, and I used to wear it with. Do you remember when you used to get purses that you would hang around your neck?
Yes, I remember those.
With those. And even back then I was accessorizing, and I used to love a handbag. Used to love a little handbag as well. I used to go through that. I probably put my mother through hell looking back, but then my daughter did the same to me. So, hey.
This is absolutely how it goes. It's always a cycle. The horrible things that, and the things that you used to do to wind up your parents, your children then do to you in
Yeah.
retribution. I have this very much. Now, what is the oldest thing in your wardrobe?
Okay, so I like vintage stuff also. So I'll show you this. This is a vintage fur cape, if you like, but it's got very clever little poppers that make them into sleeves as well, and it's gorgeous when it's on. It's got the lovely fastener there, the original fastener, and I love it. And I wore it recently. I went to a goth weekend in Whitby. I don't know whether you've ever heard of Whitby Goth Weekend, but
Yes.
we were there for work, so we were all dressed up. And I had top hat on, and I had this on, and a red, flowy sort of dress. It was really lovely. But that's probably the oldest thing that I possess. And one of the things that I love, and I do wear it because that's the thing with clothes. If you've got it, wear it. They
This
need
is
to
it.
be they need to be out there, don't they?
Absolutely. And if you're not wearing them, I'm a really big believer in actually sell it on to somebody else or give it to somebody else or
Yeah,
donate it. Just have it out there being
yeah,
worn, because the
yeah,
more you sit with all these pieces in your wardrobe that you're not wearing, the more we go out and buy other stuff. Whereas I
yeah.
think if people shared their wardrobes more, we wouldn't need to go out and buy quite as much as we do.
Yeah. What's the oldest thing you've got in your wardrobe?
I don't answer my questions. It's the thing.
No.
I know it's a mystery. I keep all my answers very secret. I'm a terrible.
Oh,
At
but it's
some point, I will share all my answers. I am coming up to almost 100 episodes, and I do wonder whether for the 100th episode I should share my answers. Maybe if you're an Off the Hanger listener, you should put in the comments whether you think I should share.
Definitely, I'll be there.
Now, what's the piece in your wardrobe that gets the most compliments? I love that you've got a real array of prints and colours behind you, so I imagine quite a lot of your pieces are quite complimented.
They are, but you won't expect what I'm going to say. This gets the most compliments.
Oh, I'm here for this completely. A white cowboy boot, gorgeous.
A white cowboy boot. It's got embroidery on. It's beautiful. I'm actually wearing, because I've only got one leg, I never wear the left. So I'm wearing the right now. I wear it a lot, and I can hear people. It's not just people coming up to me and saying, "Oh, I love your boots," but people going, "Oh my God, did you see her boot?" As I'm going past, and I can hear people saying, and it's the strangest thing to actually get a compliment about. But it actually also works really well. I've got quite a few tattoos on my leg, so where the curve of the front works really well with some of my tattoos, and I think it just makes it a lot more eye-catching. I bought this in Santa Monica a few years ago. I was looking specifically for a white cowboy boot. Didn't think I'd fall in love with embroidery, but I did. And it's comfortable. I can actually stand in it, because it's still important that I can stand, and I can stand safely. That the heel is nice and supportive. But yeah, I get a lot of compliments on this. And if you like that, you're going to like that one.
Oh, fabulous!
So yeah. I love a cowboy boot. I'm here every day of the week for a cowboy boot, but I will wear that cowboy boot with something short, with something fluffy. For example, I like a lot of tulle. I get a lot of compliments on this as well. So I'll wear that cowboy boot with this skirt, and you can still see my tattoos. I look like I've stepped out of the Wild West, to be totally honest, with this, and I love it. And that's partly because of the way the whole thing pulls together. But yeah, I used to love shoes, and then I fell out of love with shoes when I stopped walking. My relationship with shoes just kind of went down the pan, because they didn't mean anything to me anymore. But I've kind of fallen in love with them again, and I do collect them a little bit more again, because they do finish off an outfit, even when there's only one of them. Isn't it?
Do you mind me asking, what do you do with the other one? Have you got some sort of partner somewhere who you share shoes with? Somebody who's missing the alternate leg, and you could just have a shoe club. I think this would be great.
Shoe twin.
Yeah.
I have not got a shoe twin. I thought I'd found a shoe twin, but it turned out that I was sending her things and she wasn't sending me anything back. So I have a lot of left shoes in wardrobes and in bags, and they're brand new. That white one I showed you there, it's brand new, never been touched, never been worn. And I have a lot of them, but I can't part with them. And I think this is, I don't know, this is something that I maybe need to work through as part of my acceptance of where I am, and will I ever walk again? I don't know. But yeah, I can't part with them. Isn't it odd?
I think it's fascinating. I think it's really fascinating. But I love that you love shoes, because I'm a fellow shoe lover, and I think they are something that brings me great joy. And I think part of the reason for that is that your shoes don't judge you. You never have a day where you're a bit bloated and you can't fit in your shoe. You're always like, the shoes are always willing. They're always like, you want a little pick me up? Put me on and we'll feel fabulous.
And it can make you feel good when you say I'm a size 10 and you say, but yeah, that's your shoe.
Exactly.
Or an 8.
Yeah, my shoe size is a 6. I'm like, I'm a 6. I'm like, that's my shoes, but it's fine, I'll take that.
Yeah. Hi, I've got Emma's permission to interrupt this week's episode of Off the Hanger to introduce myself. My name's Grace, and I'm the host of Quarter Life Questions, the podcast that makes adulting that little bit easier. Whether you're trying to save for a house deposit, build better habits, maybe you're trying to navigate dating, or even start your own business, I speak to the experts who offer up their honest advice to answer our quarter life questions. Unfortunately, adulthood does not come with a manual. I really wish it did at times, but fear not, because this podcast might be the next best thing. New episodes every Wednesday. I'll see you there.
Now, what's the most expensive piece in your wardrobe? You don't have to share how much, of course.
Oh no, I will. I'm proud of this because I bought it for a special reason. So this I bought to go to some awards. So it's, I don't know whether you can see it. It looks like a peacock. The fabric. I love different fabrics. I love texture. So it's got this kind of loose thread look to it. It's got this gorgeous sort of razor collar, and I love it. And it's full length. So when I was sat in my wheelchair, it actually, it sat quite nicely in the wheelchair. And I spent £350 on this, which is it's a lot for me. Never spent it before, but wanted to for the awards, and I won.
Oh, excellent.
I actually won. It was a North of England Businesswoman of the Year I won, and so proud. It was so unexpected. But yeah, she's a boutique designer called Julia Alert, and she makes some amazing things. And I wish I could afford to spend more money on her. But it's light. It's not. It's quite lightweight. The sleeves are nice and floaty. And the fabric just fascinated me, and it does look like a peacock when
That
you.
Incredible. What a stunning piece. And congratulations on the award.
I know, how
Well
cool was that?
deserved.
Yeah, it was. It was quite. Wasn't expecting it. In a room full of. It wasn't anything to do with disability. It was just a room full of women. And to win as a disabled woman it just blew me away, because it was such a level playing field, and they didn't care. Are you in a wheelchair? Don't care. Are you good at what you do? Yeah, she's really good at what she does, and that was what was recognised. And it was a really good night, really good thing.
A brilliant achievement. Congratulations. So, what is the newest piece in your wardrobe?
Ooh. So I went to London last week with my daughter-in-law. We went for it was a schmooze. What else can I say? It was a schmooze. So, but what we did, we got there a couple of hours early, and we went posh charity shop shopping.
Oh, very nice. Love a bit of posh charity shop shopping. There are some great ones in London.
So we jumped out at Marylebone High Street, and I bought that. And it's a Chloe top. Never had anything Chloe either. I've never had anything new. And this was in the charity shop, but it's got this gorgeous little split, which again sits really nice in the wheelchair. It's got a bit of a nice trumpet sleeve, just a little bit, just a little bit. But the fabric's beautiful. It's not heavy. It is sequined, but it's not really, really heavy. And I only paid £70 for it.
Oh, bargain. Incredible.
And it's, I've fell in love with it. And then when I tried it on, it was just, taking you home, Chloe. You're coming with me. But that's the latest thing that I bought. And it was, we looked in several charity shops on Marylebone, and we decided that we're going back for a full weekend.
Absolutely, because there's really good ones all over. There's some great ones in Chelsea. There's really good ones in Chiswick. There's so many dotted all over.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to take your tips on that. I follow people on Instagram that do this, and I always look to see where they're going and what they're finding. But yeah, Marylebone was very good. It was, but I love that. I can't wait to wear that. I haven't worn it yet.
Well, it's such a great piece, and also it's a very timeless piece. It doesn't matter, whether you have it in your wardrobe for years and years, you'll still keep wearing it because it's always going to look great, and especially because of that fit and how it's going to sit on you when you're in your chair. I think it's really important.
Yeah, and I feel that's probably the same with a lot of Chloe and designer. I mean, I aspire to a lot of designer things. I love Vivienne Westwood, and I've created my own Vivienne Westwood look that isn't from Vivienne Westwood, but I have created a look, and I would love more designer pieces, but price is a little bit of a barrier sometimes.
I agree, but I also think the thrill and the dopamine hit that you get from treasure hunting in charity shops
Yeah,
is way, way higher than just
yeah,
going and blasting hundreds and thousands of pounds on a credit card in a designer store. Like
exactly.
finding that gem in a charity
Yeah,
shop is always going to be a higher high than going to
yeah.
any designer store to me.
And I think if I bought new all the time, I would have just such extreme guilt.
Yeah, exactly. I think I would too. I'd feel bad for it.
Mm.
I'd be like, oh, I feel really bad that I've spent all this money on this.
I
But
know, I
when I
know,
found it in a charity shop or at a sample sale or at TK Maxx or whatever it is,
yeah,
if somebody asks me about it, I am the first to be like, oh my God, I found it in here and it was only this. And you know what I mean?
yeah,
And just, it's,
yeah.
such a better
When
story.
I come into work on a morning, the girls will usually go, "Oh, that's really nice. That's really nice." I'll just go, "Vinted." It's just everything. You can find so many great things. And again, shopping for me is it's not difficult. I mean, but getting round some shops can be difficult. The thing I find difficult is trying things on,
Yeah.
because my arms and my shoulders don't move particularly well anymore. So if I go into a shop and I want to try something on, it can cause me a lot of pain. So I try not to. So I will just take things home and try them at home at my leisure, and then if they're not right, take them back. But with Vinted, it's a little bit more hit and miss. But I'll take the hit. I'll try it, and if it doesn't work for me, I'll sell it on again. I don't hoard things that aren't going to work for me. But I'll take the hit on Vinted, but again and again and again, just Vinted.
I'm exactly the same. So I had mentioned previously on the podcast multiple times that there has been a dress that I have been hunting for on Vinted for 2 years. I took a screen grab. It was a Facebook ad 2 years ago, and I screenshotted this ad. And I have hunted on Vinted high and low because it had sold out. And last week, I found it. I
No.
instantly bought it, and then it arrived, and I was like, I don't know that I want to open this because it's
Oh,
either going to be brilliant or it's going to be
yeah.
terrible. And I'm going to have lusted after this thing for 2 years. Anyway, I put it on. It was not what I wanted at all. The fabric was completely different to what it looked like in the picture. And also in
Yeah.
the picture, it looked like it was a full maxi with a big skirt. And it
Yeah.
wasn't. It was
Oh,
a midi and it was a bit meh. And so it went straight on Vinted, straight back on Vinted, and it
yeah,
sold
yeah,
within 20 minutes
yeah,
for the
I
same
bet.
price that I'd paid for it. So I was like, do you
Oh,
know what? It's fine.
how underwhelming, though.
Oh
How,
God, honestly, just I was like, trust me to obsess about something for 2 years.
do you think it was because you'd obsessed about it, though? Did that make it more of a thing? Had you found it a month or 2 months after you'd seen it, do you think you would have liked it better, or?
No, because I still think I would have been really disappointed in what it is, because it looked in the pictures, it looked like it was a cotton poplin, so that it would have had quite a structure to it,
Mm,
but
mm,
also that it was this very full skirted maxi length, and it was purely the pose and the way that it had been photographed, which
right.
is even worse considering that as a fashion stylist, that is my job
Yeah,
to make
yeah,
things look the best that they can look. And
yeah.
I fell for it, hook, line, and
Oh,
sinker. So,
what a shame.
but you live and learn, and Vinted's great
Yeah.
because it sold straight away. And now I can
Um,
find something else ridiculous to lust after for many
to
years.
obsess about.
Yeah, my obsessive nature. Oh my God. Now, what is the most sentimental piece in your wardrobe?
Okay. Again, this won't be what you think. I wore this to a really good friend's. It was her daughter's wedding. Now, I don't know whether you know York, but this beautiful young lady used to be in the choir in York Minster, and that gave her the right to get married at the Minster. And so I went to this amazing wedding in York Minster. And I wore this because she said go for it. She didn't want anybody to underdress. And I wore this red, I just pinned that there because I love glasses, but it's a red tulle, full length, layered.
Oh,
I mean,
dreamy.
look at that. It's sleeveless. It had the V at the back. And I actually wore the little fur, the vintage fur collar over it as well. And it was just the best day, and I have the best memories wearing this dress, dancing. Yeah, just it was just the best day, and actually being in the Minster for a wedding because I'd never done that. It was magical, absolutely magical, and yeah, I have the best memories. So that's a very sentimental dress. I haven't actually worn it since. I probably should because I love it as a dress. I still actually love it, and it's so easy to wear. But yeah, that's my most sentimental piece. But you wouldn't think of wearing that to a wedding, would you? Really?
Oh, I think it's fabulous. It's incredibly special, and also that opportunity to go to a wedding at the Minster is, yeah, it just doesn't happen.
I mean, it seemed larger than life to get married at the Minster, and I just felt like I wanted to dress larger than life. So, and she said, "Everybody go for it. Everybody wear hats. Everybody wear, just really go for it." And I thought, okay, I can go for it.
That's the kind of dress code I can get on
That's
board
my
with.
kind of dress. But yeah, it's lovely. I really love that. And whenever I go through my wardrobe, I always give it a bit of a tickle as I go past. Yeah, just a beautiful thing. Yeah.
What's the piece that most sums you up?
I mean, all of that, because you can see that I like colour, I like texture, I like, but this kind of sums me up. It's bright, it's colourful, easy wear. I bought this to go to LA a few years ago. Again, it was for some awards, but I just love wearing it, and every time I go through, I always think, is there a reason that I can wear this today? It's not full length, it's not heavy. It's just a really joyful, bright pink and orange, and whether you can see, it's just absolutely joyful. So that I think sums me up because it's got the colour, it's got quite a nice silky sort of fabric, easy wear, eye catching. I think that is me in a dress.
And joyous, like you say, just something that
Oh,
radiates joy and
yeah,
happiness. And it's a beautiful silhouette with the puff sleeves
yeah,
and the bright colours.
yeah.
Perfect thing, a perfect answer.
That I'll show you that as well because I also like, because you talk about the silhouette. I love the silhouette of this. So this is another. It's got lovely puffed sleeves. This is much shorter, but again, it's just got the quirky fabric. It's got a square neckline, which you don't often see very much. That's quite unusual. But the silhouette that gives is incredible because it is quite sheer, I love that as well. I could be accused of that summing me up too, but I just thought the colour was a bit plain. I'm more about colour,
You
but
need that bold, bright, energetic colour, I feel. That's definitely the
yeah,
vibes that I'm
yeah.
getting from you.
Oh, that's lovely.
Now, it's quite well documented on the podcast that I regularly fall foul to a fashion fail. These things happen to me repeatedly. Maybe we could even include now my story of my vintage dress as being a fashion fail. But do these
Yeah.
things happen to you? Fashion wardrobe malfunctions, any fashion faux pas? Do you have a story you'd like to share?
I do, and I haven't actually got the offending petticoat skirt with it's still upstairs. It's in the naughty cupboard. But this is a few years ago, and I was in a different wheelchair. Hadn't thought my outfit through really, and wore this beautiful. Imagine like a black petticoat, 1950s petticoat, lovely, and the volume of it. And I went to some awards and I was there. And every time I moved in my wheelchair, a bit of this damn petticoat got caught in the wheels. And I started working it out myself, and I was caught, and then I would get myself caught. But the more I drank, the, the further I went in my wheelchair, and this petticoat was getting wound round and round and round my wheels. It ended up taking 3 people to unwind me, and I couldn't move because my wheelchair just actually said, no, this is done now, love, we're not moving anymore. And I had to get 3 people to unwind this damn petticoat. Yeah, biggest mistake. Didn't win that night, which is completely fine, because I would have looked like a bit of a noodle going up onto the stage with all my skirt round my ankles and wound around my wheels. But yeah, I didn't think that one through very well, really. That's probably one of the worst ones.
I just love this mental image of these 3 people just trying to free you from it.
Well, it was trying to explain to them what had happened to start with, and trying to encourage them not to pull my petticoat down.
Yes. Just remember, guys, it's still actually on my body.
I'm wearing
the
it.
parts of my body that I'd like to remain covered. So if we could just ease it out the wheel without exposing me to the world, that would be grand.
Somebody would have got it on camera. You can guarantee.
Oh, yeah, that's always on camera.
That's probably, you see, you need to do 100th episode, because I want to know what yours is now.
Oh, they happen to me so often. There's multiple. I could do an entire episode just of my fashion fails.
You should.
Maybe that's the 100th episode. Welcome to Edna's Fashion Fails.
That's it. That would be good.
Now, I know that you're a shoe lover. What is your favourite shoe? And I'm doing the singular because I know that you'll have both, but you're only going to wear one. So tell me about the fabulous shoe that is your favourite.
Oh, the shoe. I collect shoes that I'll never wear.
Oh, good. Same.
Yeah.
Same.
So this one blew my mind when I saw it. Never worn it, and it'll become clear. But yeah,
I love that.
I mean, that's art. I love this. It is beautiful. Yeah, I mean, even the toe, it's got a lovely pointed toe, and the heel follows, and it's probably 5-6 inch heel. But I love that. Never worn it. Couldn't stand in it. Would break my neck if I tried to stand up to go to the loo in that. So that's the one I love. But the one that I wear the most, apart from the cowboy boot that I've got on, is the sparkly. I wear that so much. I've got the white one on now, you see. But the sparkly, it's got to be a cowboy boot for me. I love anything that is reminiscent of a cowboy boot. I've got this one. This was a Vinted purchase. This is like a carpet bagger cowboy boot. Really, really comfortable. It's a lovely colour as well. It's that lovely. This is the colour of my jumpsuit. That's the colour it was. But it's got faces on. It's got the lovely. I really like that. But it's essentially a cowboy boot. So anything that is a cowboy boot, I'm all over it. Partly for comfort, because the heels are just really comfortable for me, but just for style. And I think it's a bit of a juxtaposition, because a lot of the other stuff I wear isn't cowboy. It's nothing to do with Western dressing at all. And it's that contrast of, oh, that's a cowboy boot, but it doesn't really go with what she's got on. But then it does, and I love that. I love that contrast.
I think that's excellent, because I think cowboy boots are one of those pieces that they never really go out of fashion, but all of a sudden they'll be super fashionable again. So they're having that kind of moment last year and this year where they're just everywhere, and there's so many great pairs of them, and I love the detailing, and like you say, they are such a great heel height and shape, because you have that stability to them. But it's a really good shoe option.
And that's another good thing to get on Vinted as well, and secondhand, because the leather ones have just aged a bit, and they've got that patina that just gives, they've lived a bit. And I just love the story that could be around them. If you buy a pair from the States, whatever, from Texas, a Vinted pair. Oh, I just love the idea that someone's been out there in the dust wrangling cattle, and I really like the story they come with.
Definitely. What is the dream fashion item you would love to own, irrespective of cost, practicality, availability? What would you have if you could have anything in the world?
It would be Vivienne Westwood. Definitely a real Vivienne Westwood piece. Just to say that I've got I've never spent a lot of money on Vivienne Westwood. I have this, which is my fake Vivienne Westwood, and I think you'll understand when you see it.
Oh,
It's
yes.
it's that again, Vinted, but it's not real. It gives me the feel like I'm dressed in Vivienne Westwood, but I would like to feel the quality. I would like to feel something tartan, red tartan, big fan of tartan. And it would be a Vivienne Westwood dress, probably a very sort of architectural kind of dress. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
A bit like that collar, where it's, oh, there goes a walking stick, where it's not symmetrical, and yeah, I would like something like that. So if you want to go shopping anytime,
I'll keep my
feel
eye
free.
out in the charity shops for you.
Uh,
When I'm hunting around the
well,
charity shops, keep my eye out, see if one appears. You never know.
that would be
Strange
good,
things
wouldn't
have
it?
happened.
I would be racing everybody to get to it, but yeah,
Absolutely.
it would be a Vivienne Westwood piece, definitely. Yeah, big fan.
Oh, fabulous. And to finish on, what is a piece of fashion advice that you would have given to your younger self?
Wear it. Don't just own it. Wear it, because if it's in your wardrobe and it stays in your wardrobe, it's clearly giving you some kind of joy, even from a hanger. I would say wear it. Don't be afraid. So older Lyndsay, because she doesn't care. The older you get, the less you care. She goes out in glittery jumpsuits and tulle and hats and net. I took part in a photo shoot for transport for Greater Manchester a couple of weeks ago, and they said, "Yeah, just come dressed like you normally dress." So I thought, "Oh, okay." So I did, and I had this leather hat on with a black veil at the front, and I had a wacky pair of glasses, and the photographer loved it, and they said, "Just come in what you want." So I don't know what Manchester's going to think of the pictures. Wear it. Just if you own it and it gives you joy and it gives you confidence, wear it. I know younger Lyndsay was driven by, you're driven by what your mum thinks you should wear, but when you get to the age where you are really choosing your own stuff, let it be part of your self-expression. And I think that's probably something, when I was younger, I didn't have the confidence to do that. When you get to that age, you get into the teenage years, and I think I lost a lot of my confidence then, and I didn't want to dress that made people look at me. Now, look at me, couldn't care less. But yeah, I get a lot of joy, and allow fashion to give you joy. It's not shallow. I think in the past as well, I've maybe been made to feel that how you dress and how you look is a little bit shallow, by those that shall go unnamed, but are now disposed of. And I think it's not. There's nothing shallow about it. It's expressive. It's important. It is joyous, and it's part of your everyday life. So why shouldn't you enjoy it? Enjoy it.
I completely agree. I will often say to people that getting dressed every day is an act of self care.
Yeah.
If you can go and spend time having your nails done or having your hair done or, going for a massage or a facial or whatever it is as an act of self care, then
Mm,
getting dressed should be on a par with those things. Every
mm,
single time you get dressed, it's an act of self care. It's an act to yourself of going, I care about myself enough that I'm going to wear something that I really enjoy and that I
yeah.
really feel great in. And there's
Yeah.
a fabulous quote that I'd like to end on that's, I think it's a Harry Winston quote, and it's people will stare, make it worth their while.
Make it worth their while. And that's a lot of what we're about here as well. A lot. There was a lady who uses one of our sticks, and she dresses every day, dopamine dressing, and she puts on her fighting red lipstick. And I've never forgotten that, because she's out there and she's fighting for her place in society, which we kind of are in, people with mobility issues. It's a society that isn't really built for us. It's a world that isn't built for us. So we are fighting to live in it. But yeah, dress like you belong there. Wear it.
That's excellent advice to finish on. Thank you so much for chatting with me this morning. I've really, really loved our conversation.
Honestly, I wish I'd learned a bit more about your fashion.
One day I will share them.
It's coming. You're going to get pressure now. But yeah, it's been an absolute joy to discuss something that is very close to my heart, that isn't necessarily to do with work. I talk a lot about work and I talk a lot about disability, but this has just been separate completely. This has just been what makes me happy, and I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please remember to like, subscribe, comment, follow, rating, thumbs up, all of that good stuff. And also get in touch on offthehangerpodcast@gmail.com. See you soon.